So I'm going to get right into the topics. And I want to tell you, when you gave me the 3 things you wanted me to focus on this weekend, I really thought that it was probably 3 of the best things that you could focus on to kind of kick the year off. And I'll tell you why I thought that. It's because if you follow the health trends and how everything's moving in the industry, it's all moving toward lifestyle enhancement. It's no longer just focused on one single product that's going to cure everything under the sun, one single thing that'll change your life forever. It's more about consistent daily things that you can work into your lifestyle, your diet, habits that create the type of vitality that everybody's looking for. And when you look at the topics you wanted me to talk about, which are the 10-4, the new 10-4 energy drink, the KVB, which is now in chocolate, it's about time, and and the Mag Strides. What you look at, you could create an entire business really around that and create an entire lifestyle change around those 3 simple products. So I'm going to get into it right now and kind of give you an easy way to look at it and to understand why they're so important and how easy it is to actually share these things with people. Now I'm going to start off with the 10-4 and think about it. 10-4 is a green tea energy enhancement product. And do you ever talk to anybody about health that doesn't at some time mention that they want more energy? It hardly ever happens. No matter how long or how often you talk to people, somewhere in that conversation, the word of energy will come up. And they're not really just talking about being stimulated or overstimulated like most coffee or energy drinks you find on the market, but they just really, what they're saying is they want to feel more vital and alive during the day. They want to have more energy to fully engage in things and to feel like they're on top of their game. And really, that's what I love about 10-4 and the fact that it's based on green tea, because if you look at most energy drinks out on the market, they're very complicated. They take a lot of studying and information to be able to explain all the different variants of ingredients in them. And it's really way too complicated for most people to understand. And to tell you the truth, almost all energy products, especially the ones in cans and bottles, are all really bad formulas. They're all based on one single formula, which is Red Bull. And they're all just copies of it, throwing in various amounts of the same exact things. And it's really just not a healthy way to go about energy. Way too much caffeine, way too many other nutrients that imbalance your entire system. And the reality is, probably one of the greatest things that was ever devised by nature for energy is green tea. And Nikken was able to actually find the greatest source of green tea, which is matcha tea, and put it into a little package that's really easy to use. And one of the things I love about green tea, and I've been somebody who's drank green tea for decades, is the fact that it's not just a stimulant. Green tea has so many different benefits to it, and even the caffeine is different in green tea. You know, this took me a long time to figure out, and I only know this because I manufacture things. I make products, I make formulas for different things. And so one of the things I experimented with was caffeine extracted from green tea to put into a product. And, you know, the interesting thing about that, and it was a huge learning lesson for me, was the fact that it does not react in your body the same way as pure caffeine that's made in a laboratory, synthetic caffeine. And by that I mean, you're talking about something that's 100% caffeine, and 100% caffeine, only one comes from green tea and one comes from a lab. And you know what? The one from green tea still is much more calming in its effect and slower acting than the one that you get that's synthetic. And even without the rest of the plant involved in it. And so it was really an eye-opener to me to how chemicals can vary, even when it's the exact same chemical, by the source that it's actually in. And that's the case with green tea, and particularly matcha tea, because matcha green tea has the highest level actual chlorophyll and different nutrients in it than any other tea. And when you take it, if you've all noticed, you've probably used it already, what you get is this really slow, gentle lift of energy. And when it wears off, you're not even aware of it because it's just another slow, gentle drop. And so it's the mildest, easiest, yet most beneficial type of energy drink or energy substance you'd ever want to use to boost your mental clarity during the day or just give you that little bit of edge when you're working out. And yet it has this amazing amount of health benefits to it. What I really like about green tea is that when you drink it, it's not like you get this jagged effect from it. You get this mild lift, you feel more present and aware, and your mind starts working a bit, and it seems like it has an energy there when you actually need it. As opposed to most other things, you basically drink it and you got an overabundance of things going on that you have to burn off, or you're just overamped, or it causes you to become stressed. And one of the main things you don't want when you're doing an energy product is to become stressed, because most of the reasons why you have low energy is your levels of stress anyway. Now, green tea is fascinating in the fact that it produces an amino acid that only occurs in nature in one product, and that's green tea. And it's called theanine. And that's the reason why you get this slow release and lift, because theanine actually turns on a part of your brain which has to do with a neurotransmitter called GABA, which basically is your anti-anxiety neurotransmitter. So think about this. You're getting energy, yet you're taking something that's actually turns on a part of your mind that has to do with anxiety, and it calms it. And this is why you get this effect, which is called T-mind. This has always been talked about for decades, the idea of this concept of T-mind. And what does T-mind mean? It means that you're awake, you're aware, yet you're calm at the exact same time. And what better state to be in than to be just fully awake and aware and calm at the same time? And that's what green tea does. And that's all comes from the fact that it not only wakes up your brain, but actually calms it at the exact same time. And that's due to the antioxidants, the blend of caffeine, and the actual theanine amino acid that's in tea. Now, if you all know, one of the other great advantages to having a product that's actually focused on green tea is that you can hand that to anybody and they can go on the internet, they can look up anywhere, any reference material on green tea, and they'll find literally thousands of pages of information on how green tea works in the body and how beneficial it is for probably the widest range of health issues that you can imagine any one product would work on. In fact, if you look, you can research it, it's good for your heart, it's good for cholesterol, it's good for your brain, it's good for your circulation, it's good for literally every aspect of your health. There's an antioxidant in it called EGCG, and that particular antioxidant is one of the most potent plant-derived, naturally occurring antioxidants in the entire world. It has such a beneficial effect on your entire system. And this is why when you look at all the studies on cancer in China and Japan and all these different studies on how much less they get certain types of cancer, it's all based on the fact that these are countries that predominantly drink tea. And so all those benefits really are from their exposure to that one polyphenol, the EGCG, that's in green tea. So you're handing someone not only something that gives them mental clarity, but you're giving them something that has certain polyphenol antioxidants that work on every single level of your health. Now, I got particularly interested in green tea years ago when I was researching brain products. As you all know, in this country, diseases of the brain are just running rampant. As in the last 30 years, the incidences of people losing their memory and losing their memory earlier in life has just gone skyrocketed in this country. And it's due to a lot of things that, a natural lifestyle would actually prevent. It's due to things that are, toxins in your water. It's due to lack of sleep. It's due to toxins in your food. All these things that can be helped by having a diet that's rich in antioxidants, but also things that work on subtle levels of brain activity that make a huge impact on your brain. And one of the things that fascinated me about green tea, because I've never seen this actually affect from anything else that occurs in nature, and that is that it has an activity in your brain of helping to produce acetylcholinesterase. Very long word, but basically what they're saying is that it helps to lower an amount of an enzyme that gets rid of acetylcholine in your brain. Now, why is that important? Because when you're looking at things like dementia, Alzheimer's, what they're really talking about is, and what the focus a lot of it is on, is a lack of the ability of acetylcholine to work in your brain. And so they devised numerous drugs that they give you to take that actually lower acetylcholinesterase. The theory being that it releases more acetylcholine neurotransmitter to work in your brain. And acetylcholine is the main memory neurotransmitter. It's what works in your hippocampus of your brain to access memory, to lay down memory. And so the theory is we give you a drug that inhibits this enzyme, and then you'll have more acetylcholine. And that's where they're at with studies of most memory issues in science today. Well, the reality is that there's research showing that the antioxidant in green tea works better than the actual drugs that they sell on the market for getting rid of acetylcholinesterase. So here you have a natural product that has an effect of freeing up the main neurotransmitter in your brain that allows you to access memory. So it's just good to have in your system a little bit every single day to assist your brain function. And then when you look at all the different things you could actually do with 10-4, and what I mean by that is that, if you really want to get into looking at the Nikken line and how to really maximize 10-4, this is what I thought when I first got my samples is, because, I'm a formulator. So no matter what you hand me, I'm always thinking down the road, what can I do with this? What can I stick this in? What can I do with it, right? And so the first thing that came to mind was mental clarity. What does green tea give you? It gives you mental clarity. Well, the reality is that Nikken already has a product called Mental Clarity. And if you combine the two, you've got an amazing energy drink. If you looked at the ingredients in Mental Clarity and how it has green tea extract, so you're getting more of the EC or the EGCG. It has cordyceps, which supports your adrenal function, which in Chinese medicine, by the way, the adrenals are the power pack that supplies a direct energy channel to your brain. Now, think about that. It may sound a little odd, but when you're exhausted, what is the first thing that goes? Your memory. When you're exhausted, you don't even want to talk. You don't have the energy to put your thoughts together and get it out. So when you support your kidney adrenal energy, which cordyceps is the #1 herb really by itself in the world for supporting kidney adrenal energy, when you put that together, basically you've got an entire energy drink that you can formulate just by putting two things together. And you can imagine what happens when you add the omega DHA to it. Now you've got an unbelievable spectrum of brain health in that one little program. So you can see, if you have an imagination and you're a consultant out there, you can see how you can broaden that out, where someone gets excited about 10-4. Well, how excited will they be when they try it with this? And how excited will they be when they try it with that? So there's all these different aspects that you can blend that product into existing things in the line to actually enhance them. And again, the greatest thing I think about it is the fact that the entire world is looking for energy, yet the entire world is trying to be less stressed, right? So here you have an option of taking something that gives you energy that actually has a calming effect to it. And so it kind of fits right in there perfect in that over amped up world out there where people are rushing around and being overstressed, right? It just fits in as a lifestyle product. And again, what is Nikken, the ultimate company about? It's about lifestyle. It's about healthy lifestyle, healthy things added to that lifestyle to enhance them. And 10-4 fits perfectly right in there. You know, one of the other things which, you know, to me is really one of, I think, the most exciting educational product that you've ever launched is the KVB. And I know you're all sitting down and drinking chocolate KVB, which is, in my opinion, was, you know, why did it take so long to get chocolate? The entire world is addicted to chocolate, right? So it's like a no-brainer when you tell someone you have a chocolate product that they're gonna they're gonna like it, right? They're gonna like the taste, and the taste is a big thing right up front. You know, we had great success with KVB because it works. You know, this is something that so many products fail on the one end, which is they all have a lot of hype, but they don't actually work. They don't actually do anything. And so when Dave put this product together, I actually thought it was just pure genius as far as a food, because he really caught up with the recent technology on how your brain works in relation to your diet, and how combinations of certain types of food, meaning protein and a little bit of fat, how beneficial that is for you to start your day out with. And so we had this great success with KVB in the fact that people who have never lost weight in their life actually lost weight. And why is that? It's not because it's a diet product. It's because it just reset their brain if they took it first thing in the morning. And with all things with diet, this is the thing that everybody misses, is that you can actually change the makeup of your brain, how it performs, within 10 days just by changing your breakfast. Now, how awesome is that? And so, you know, before they came out with KVB, I was having to tell distributors how to go on a pure protein breakfast and the vegetables and all that for a beginning diet just to get rid of sugar cravings. And I couldn't do it with the old product, even though it was a pretty good protein product. And Dave comes out with this thing that fits perfectly into the program I've been telling people about for years, which is if you just start your day out with a pure protein and do that for 10 days, it'll reset your brain and you will stop your cravings for sugar. Now, when you tell somebody you can stop their cravings for sugar, that gets their attention, because almost everybody who's ever been on a diet stops that diet or fails at it because of cravings, and particularly cravings for sugar. And so really that is all just about the predominant way that your brain is working at that moment. And so we've had this amazing success throughout the entire company with KVB. And now we've changed it over to where it tastes better. It's even going to be easier to do this. But the reason it works so well is that it's a pure protein food with a little bit of fat, with a type of fatty acids that feed your brain immediately. And so when you take that by itself, it resets a neurotransmitter called dopamine in your brain. And that neurotransmitter powers up your brain, just like booting up a computer in the morning. It powers up your brain, which gives you access then to the hardware. It gives you access to everything else. And your brain doesn't get tired the rest of the day if you start out with a breakfast of protein. Now, why is that important as far as lifestyle and as far as dieting and losing weight? It's important because once you do that and you start to work on your cravings, it's so much easier to diet, but your brain has energy for the rest of the day. When you get hungry, it's a different type of hunger. You've all noticed if you've been on this, it's a different type of hunger. You're no longer just all of a sudden gotta have something, and you're just, no matter what it is, if it's close, you're gonna eat it, right? It's not that type of hunger. It's where you notice you're getting hungry and you tell yourself you should probably eat. And then what you notice on the first day, but particularly on the third and fourth day, and by the time it's the 10th day, it's a solid habit. The fact that when you get hungry, you don't have cravings, so you make better food choices. And this is why when you look throughout all the people that have done this product, why they have success, because once you lose your cravings for sugar, you basically make better food choices all the time. And once you start making better food choices, you realize the things that make you feel bad and the things that make you feel good. And without even trying, you probably drop 10 different types of food out of your diet because you just don't have cravings anymore. When you have a brain that's locked into cravings for sugar, you basically don't make good food choices hardly ever. You might maybe on a certain parts of your meal, but when the meal's over, you're going to have a big sweet. You're going to have all these different things. But the reality is, and I know this from my own life, is that you almost lose all cravings for sugar, and you eat sugar when you actually want to. And that's a big step for most people. And this is something I also want to say, is that it doesn't mean that you'll never eat sugar for the rest of your life. You'll never be able to enjoy that. And I wouldn't like that myself. I mean, who wouldn't want to have some sweets once in a while? It's a great thing as a treat. But the problem is most people have gone from having sugar as a treat once in a while, maybe a dessert a few times a week, to where they're having sugar 6 to 8 times a day. It's become a craving. It's become something they're addicted to, and then they can't get off of it because they don't know how to change their brain. So what does Nikken come out with? They come out with a perfect protein meal replacement that anybody can go out and give to someone and be able to teach them how that changes their system. And it's not very hard. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to sit down with someone and say, if you just have this by itself for breakfast, and then during the day just eat protein and any vegetable you want, within a few days you'll lose your cravings for sugar because it's all based on what you have for breakfast. And this is the important part. And it'll make you sound like a genius to most people, is the fact that, Americans all eat way too much protein anyway. It's not like they're deficient in protein. The key is that they have to have their protein as the first food they eat during the day. If they don't, then their brain is set up on something else. And usually that's a sugary food, which then starts making too much relaxing chemicals in your brain. And then you have a sugar spike and the whole thing goes down. And so the beauty of this whole thing, again, the KVB, is the fact that it's not really just about losing weight. It's not really just about sugar cravings. It's about how it changes your brain and regulates your blood sugar. When you eat a protein food, especially every meal and even for breakfast, your blood sugar comes out at such an even level that it doesn't spike, it never goes way up, and it never goes way down. This is probably, you'll find out, you just keep following health for the next 3 to 4 years, and you're going to find out they're getting ready to admit that almost all chronic health problems are due to unregulated levels of blood sugar. The blood sugar that spikes with every meal, the blood sugar that's way too high in diabetes, the blood sugar that's never stable is really the root cause of almost all the inflammation in your body. Now, when you look at the fact that even higher levels of sugar causes stress, it causes higher levels of cortisol, and that leads into poor sleep. You can kind of see where I'm going. The basis of almost all inflammation throughout your cardiovascular system, in your brain, anywhere in your body, really comes down to what kind of a diet are you eating that helps you regulate your blood sugar? What are you eating all the time that causes it to spike and puts you in a danger zone of having a heart attack or a stroke for a few hours after you eat? And how long does it take for you to come back to normal? Well, when you start to regulate your diet using KVB and you work that into your lifestyle, that this is the type of breakfast you're going to have every day, it's going to be based on protein, it's going to be based on real food. What you do is you start out regulating your blood sugar immediately. And this is really important because, one of the other things we talk about in Nikken all the time is sleep. And what is one of the main health problems with lack of sleep? It's diabetes. If you miss one night of sleep, a few hours after you wake up, if they took a blood test, they'd tell you that you're pre-diabetic. And why is that? Because of lack of sleep causes a stress response. The stress response causes your body to dump loads of glycogen, stored blood sugar, into your bloodstream, and it shuts down insulin in your system because your body thinks it's frightened and it needs to respond to something and either run away or fight to the death, right? But you're literally just walking out to the kitchen to maybe have some orange juice and toast. You don't know that your body thinks that you're in trouble, right? So what happens? Your blood sugar shoots up to maybe 180, 200, and you haven't even done anything yet. You haven't had anything to eat. If you're the average American, the average human being that walks out in their kitchen and has some coffee with sugar and some juice and some toast, your blood sugar is probably up over 300, and you haven't even started your day. What is the number one way that you can actually stop that? What is the number one way that you can actually just kind of nip that in the bud if you didn't sleep very well? Having a protein breakfast. Because that protein breakfast will not actually raise your cortisol. It will not actually raise your blood sugar. And it won't give anything, it won't interfere with your body's natural ability to start to bring it down on its own and regulate it. It's the number one thing that you can do if you're stressed, if you haven't slept. The best thing that you can do to combat all that rising of cortisol, which will interfere with your sleep later, is to get on a diet that regulates your blood sugar and stops your cravings for sugar. And again, what is that? That's KVB. That's starting out with a protein breakfast. And that's why that product is so important to anybody you ever talk to, and should be offered to anybody you run into who's interested in Nikken products, because you can't find a single product that you could give somebody, if they went on it for a week, that would make as many inroads into their health issues as having them change the way they relate to food and changing their breakfast to a protein food. It has that many different impacts on your health. There's nothing better you could do for your heart. There's nothing better you could do for your arteries. There's nothing better you can do for your brain than to change and have a product that allows you to learn how food affects your body and to learn how to curb your cravings for sugar. There's just nothing else you could do for someone that would be that important as a lifestyle habit to establish. And that's, again, why I love KVB, because it can be the basis for how everything else works. And now you add it to something like the 10-4. Now you have a way of giving people a way of regulating their diet, of learning about food. And this is really what it's about. Again, it's about learning. You want to be someone that has the ability, when someone asks you, to teach them something, because they'll just latch on to you, because everybody wants to learn something about that they can do for themselves, for their health. That's probably why all you people are in the room there. You learned something from someone about your health that made a difference, and you're sharing it with other people. And this is a real easy share. 10-4 KVB is a really simple, easy share. And the other thing is that it's so easy to work into your lifestyle. Look at 10-4. I didn't even mention this before. If you take 10-4 before you work out, there's a lot of studies that show that having green tea before you work out increases the amount of fat you burn by about 17%. Now that's huge when you're working out. And, I discovered this long time ago when I used to be a triathlete and used to just exercise myself into the ground practically. That's what triathletes do. They exercise way too much. But I always knew when I overate and I gained 3 or 4 pounds that I wanted to get rid of really quick, I just drank a bunch of tea and did a spinning on my bike for about an hour. I did that a couple days in a row, and I could drop 4 pounds in a couple days without even thinking about it. It so revved up my metabolism in conjunction with the exercise that I just burned calories, and it was just really an unbelievable thing. And so I incorporated that into my workouts all the time. It's just this amazing ability to burn and free up fatty acids to be utilized for energy. So now you have something like KVB, which then helps you to regulate your blood sugar so you don't have those huge swings where you're gaining weight. So it comes down to a perfect lifestyle product. Now I want to talk about one of the other products here before I sign off, Dave, and that's the M-Strides. And And why is that? Because really, when you look at these three things Dave wanted me to talk about, he's talking about something to drink for energy, a food that you can center your whole diet around and be a pivotal part of life change. And now we have the M Strides, which is really another lifestyle product, but something that has many, many profound effects on your health on almost every level. Yet it's very subtle, and it's really one of Niken's ways of bringing nature back into your life, back into your lifestyle, without hardly any effort at all. And this is the thing I always emphasize with people. If people ask me about Niken, what do I want to say is the one thing they do? Well, I usually just say that they allow people to bring nature back into their lifestyle, because that can lead me to a lot of different things to talk about. Just instead of saying they sell this or they do this, no, they allow you to bring nature back into your life. They do that through the air, the Niken air purifiers. They do that through the water in your house, the sleep systems. But you know what? The Mag Strides are the one thing that they can take anywhere, no matter where they're going, at every single moment, and be connected back to Mother Earth. Because that magnetic resonance is really replicating what human beings have been exposed to for millions of years, and that is that magnetic resonance of the Earth itself. When we first were walking and running around on the planet, we basically were never, ever disconnected from the Earth. We slept on it, we walked on it, we drank water that ran across it, or out of wells, out of rivers, out of lakes. Everything had a magnetic charge to it. And our bodies, over that millions of years, actually evolved. And every single cellular activity that evolved in your body evolved in the presence of that particular energy. And so when you disconnect from that, you're actually kind of like a battery that's maybe only has 80% charge. You're like a phone that's just not charged fully, and maybe it doesn't receive as well or transmit calls as well. The reality is that you're just missing a little bit of a vital essence that every one of your cells need. And one of the easiest things, or one of the ways it's actually tested in science, is that it has a direct effect on something called the zeta potential of your cell. And what is that? Just so you know what that is. Basically, zeta potential is the amount of charge on the surface of your cells. And when that charge is deficient in your red blood cells, what happens? All the cells in your body actually clump up. They actually have a tendency to clot. Instead of really healthy blood that has a charge to it that's its normal or its most vital healthy charge, then those cells, when you look at it, are all floating around and moving around differently in your system. And so just the basic idea of walking barefoot on the ground does this for you. But you know what? How many people can actually do that at work? How many people can do that in the winter? How many people can do that on a daily basis? Very few, right? So Niken has this amazing technology that allows you to just basically slip the earth into your shoes. And so you're connected to this magnetic energy that then starts to change the zeta potential, the energetic potential of every cell in your entire system. And so what is the main thing that affects? It's just what I was talking about before. Your cells move more freely throughout your entire body. It's something called viscosity. Everything just moves better. It has less tendency to clot together. That can have an effect on every single level of your health. But there's science now supporting the fact that it has magnetic energy, low levels of magnetic energy have a very positive and something you can measure effect on every single aspect of your cell. Everything. There's even medical devices approved now to heal fractures. Of course, you don't have to tell that to anybody who's a consultant for Niken. Everybody's probably knows one person who broke something or had an injury that simply applied one of the technologies to it and it healed faster. Why is that? It's because it just increases the energy flow through that area. It's nothing hard to explain. It increases the magnetic pulse in every cell, which then allows it to just basically heal faster. It's just really, again, what is it doing? It's moving it back to its greatest healing potential in that particular area of your body. Well, with MagStrides, it's doing it for your entire system. Very similar to just laying down at night. Why does the bed work so well? Because it allows your body to go back into this relaxed state, which is one of the other aspects of magnetic energy, where everything starts to move freer, your energy flows better, and it helps you to shut off the stress response. So all of these things are happening no matter what product you actually use. Your exposure to one of the Nikken technologies has a direct effect on your energy and how it moves through the body and how it actually configures itself within your entire system. You know, I gave a talk at the last convention in Nevada, which everybody seemed to get excited about, and I was kind of surprised about it. But the reality is that because I started talking about energetics, Chinese medicine, and how the magnets actually affect it. And one of the things that I noticed, and my wife noticed, because she's someone that's been doing healing work for 20 years. And she's also part of a small group of people that literally do healing work all the time. So I give them things just to ask their opinion, but I never tell them what they are. Because if you do, then it kind of ruins it, right? You just want to kind of hand them something in a blindfolded way or something. So I got my new MagStrides in the mail one day. And I immediately felt them when I stood on it. In fact, I felt them when I was pulling them out of the pack. And I thought, well, this is going to be exciting because I got an energetic response from it, right? So I said my wife was on the computer. I said, hey, honey, I dropped them behind the couch, right? So she wouldn't know what it was. Take a look, how's my energy doing today? And she commented on it. I won't tell you that part. But then I stood on the insoles and she told me how my entire energy just shifted. And something that Dave wanted me to mention, that my Ming Men actually consolidated and became stronger. Now, I know hardly anybody knows what that means, but in Chinese medicine, they have a term for an energy center that sits right between your kidneys. Your kidney adrenals, because you have two kidneys, are ruled over by an energy center called the Ming Men in Chinese medicine. And it's also often called the golden stove. And if you've ever practiced Qigong, which is basically standing in horse position and doing healing with your hands, the entire practice is meant to build up your Ming Men energy. And why is that? Because Ming Men is really kind of a Chinese word for battery. It's kind of the battery pack or the energy center which supplies all the life force for your entire body. It's part of it is your reproductive system, your kidney adrenal energy. In fact, it's the energy that holds your back in place and powers up your back so that you don't throw it out all the time. When you have weak adrenals, you have a tendency to what? Throw your back out easily or get a sore back. Most people think that they've injured themselves. No, they basically have weak adrenals. Once you bring your adrenal energy back up, energetically and physically with nutrients like cordyceps, then basically that energy consolidates and a lot of your pain goes away because it supports that entire part of your body. Well, when I stood on those, first thing my wife said is your Ming Men became solid and you look less stressed. Now, this is an opinion of someone who didn't know anything that I was doing, didn't even know if they were insoles. And so I said to her, well, she says to me, she goes, what are you doing? And I picked them up and I handed them to her. And she goes, wow. She goes, that was just from standing on something, right? And why would this occur? Because again, your body has a cellular memory for being in contact with something that it has a memory of since man walked on the planet. Every one of your cells recognizes that type of vibrational energy, and we are vibrational energy beings, and it picks up on that, and it just goes back into its most relaxed natural state of energy. And when a human being is relaxed, your adrenals soak up energy. The energy centers in your body become concise and they start to rebuild. That's all comes from just relaxing, which again is one of the best beneficial parts about being involved with sleeping on a bed with magnetic energy, putting these things in your shoes. So I gave them to my wife. She wanted to experiment with it. And the first thing she said to me was that she put them on was that the computer didn't bother her anymore. If she puts them on in her shoes, in fact, she doesn't wear them all the time, but she has a pair of shoes with these insoles in it by the computer, and she slips them on every time she sits down at the computer. And why is that? Because the computer screen, the energy coming off of it does not bother her when she has them in her shoes. And so, hey, whatever. I know it works. I know it's the effect of it. And this is the thing about magnetics that most people don't realize. If you look at all the research done on earthing and standing on the planet Earth, they have research that shows that when you do that, Wi-Fi doesn't bother you as much. The energy from different electricity doesn't bother your system as much. And why is that? It's again because of what I mentioned before, zeta potential. When your cells come up to their natural charge of energy and they start to repel each other, it also has an effect on your entire system. And when your body is feeling good, and when you have a lot of energy going on and your energy potential is up at its peak, outside things don't bother you, right? And now think about this. What I'm talking about right now is that other energetics don't bother you so much. Wi-Fi doesn't bother you. Your computer screen doesn't bother you so much. Why is that? Because you've set your energy field, and your energy field has a solid pattern without too much weakness to it, and so other outside things don't affect you. It's not any different than the concept that when you're tired and you haven't slept and you're kind of grumpy, other people's energy or their attitudes bother you, and you think there's something wrong with them. No, there's probably something wrong with you, because if you had set your intention for the day and set your energy, hardly anything would ever bother you, because you know what you want to do, you're feeling really good, and you're going out in the world as someone who wants to make a difference. And really, to me, this is the key aspect to everything that I talked about today, is not that, hey, I'm going to regulate my blood sugar, or hey, I'm going to have a green tea drink, or I got to put these in my shoes so that my zeta potential goes up. These are all really amazing things that happen just because you're reconnecting with natural products. But the real aspect of it is that you're giving your body, your entire system, your whole, whoever you are as a human being, its greatest chance to go out in the world that day feeling the best they possibly can and having the best positive effect on the entire world that you come in contact with. And this is something most people never think about. They never think about how they're going to have an effect out in the world. Most Nikan consultants do this, but most humans never give any thought to what they want to do and how they want to be seen out in the world and what effect they want to have. And they can't do that unless they're feeling really good, unless they've created a lifestyle, created a diet, a sleep habit, a way of giving themselves energy, a way of feeding themselves that actually helps them to thrive and feel really alive. And when you do that, you can't help but to have a better, more positive effect on every single person you come in contact with, because you've taken the time to set your own energy for the day. And that, by that I mean you've got the mag strides, you're having an effect on your health, and that way you've changed your diet, everything is coming into an alignment, and you're going out in the world hoping that you can change that alignment and have it come into alignment with your own life. And you do that, and the first step to that whole thing is just feeling better and actually having a plan. It's no different than having a business plan. The plan here is I'm going to feel more vital and alive, and I have the opportunity to do it because I'm involved with these technologies. And so I'm going to be feeling more vital and alive and take that out into the world every single day. And so that to me is the whole reason why you would ever want to even think about getting healthier, changing your diet, or becoming involved in the whole field of health, because it will affect every single thing that you do in life. And the world will seem to almost open up to you, because when you take good energy out into the world, it seems like you just run into good things all the time.